Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters in Christ, today I want to talk about something we have all faced but often do not recognize: why weak people always try to trigger you. You see, we live in a world where the loudest voices are not always the strongest, where those who are most broken often lash out the most, where those who feel powerless seek to pull others down to their level. This is not new. It has been happening since the beginning of time. It happened to David when Saul threw spears at him. It happened to Joseph when his own brothers betrayed him. It happened to Jesus when the Pharisees plotted to trap him with their words. And it happens to you and me today. The enemy knows that it can get you to react. He can steal your peace, derail your focus, and make you forget who you are in Christ. So today, I want to uncover the truth behind these triggers, why they come, and how God is calling you not just to resist them, but to rise above them with strength, with grace, and with victory. Weak people trigger others to gain a false sense of control and power. And this is one of the oldest strategies of the enemy. From the very beginning, in the garden, the serpent did not have true authority over Adam and Eve, yet he provoked them, tempted them, and triggered them to act in a way that gave an influence over their lives. Weakness often hides behind noise, behind anger, behind criticism, behind manipulation, because weakness cannot stand on its own. Weakness seeks to drag down what is strong in order to feel important. And this is what many people around you are doing when they try to provoke you. When someone feels powerless, they will look for ways to take power from others. And one of the quickest ways they do this is by pulling you into an emotional reaction. Because the moment you lose your peace, you have surrendered control of your mind and heart to them. They want to see you angry because anger blinds you. They want to see you lose control because it makes them feel like they are the ones controlling the situation. This is why it is so important to recognize what is happening in those moments. When someone tries to push your buttons, they are really revealing that they are not strong enough to deal with their own pain, their own fear, their own insecurity. It is easier for them to trigger you than to face what is broken inside of them. And when you see this, it changes how you respond. Suddenly, you no longer see them as a threat, but as someone who is desperately trying to create significance for themselves by shaking yours. That is why you must stand firm in who you are. The enemy always uses weak vessels to launch attacks that are meant to pull you out of alignment with God's plan for you. When Saul threw spears at David, it wasn't because David had done wrong. It was because Saul was tormented by insecurity, by fear, by jealousy, and his weakness sought to destroy what God had anointed. David could have thrown the spear back, but he chose to trust God and stay in control of himself. And that is what preserved his destiny. When weak people trigger you, they are seeking to shift the atmosphere around you. They cannot control themselves, so they try to control you. They cannot find peace, so they try to take yours. They cannot find joy, so they try to steal yours. They cannot feel powerful, so they try to make you feel small. And every time you give in, every time you snap back, every time you take the bait, you are feeding their illusion of power. But when you remain calm, when you refuse to react, when you stay rooted in the truth of who you are, their power collapses, their influence dies, and they are left facing the emptiness they were trying to avoid. You see, the enemy wants you to think that you are being attacked because you are weak, but the truth is you are being attacked because you are strong. If you had nothing of value, they would not come after you. If you had no light, they would not try to put it out. Weakness is threatened by strength. Darkness is threatened by light. And that is why they come after you. The more you rise, the more you shine, the more you walk in your calling, the more you will see these triggers show up in your life. But those triggers are actually a confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. They are a sign that you are carrying something that the enemy fears. The key is not to let their weakness dictate your response. When you allow them to trigger you, you are letting them write the script for your day, for your mood, for your actions. But when you remain in control, you are declaring that your peace is not for sale, that your mind is not a playground for other people's insecurity, that your spirit is aligned with something higher than the chaos around you. This is how you take back authority over your own life by refusing to give it away every time someone throws words, criticism, or offense at you. Their attacks are often rooted in insecurity, jealousy, and fear. And when you begin to see this truth, it completely changes how you perceive the people who try to provoke you. Insecurity is a silent force that drives people to act out in ways they would not otherwise act. When someone feels small, they look for ways to make others feel small too, because that levels the playing field in their mind. Jealousy operates the same way. When they see you walking in confidence, when they see you blessed, when they see doors opening for you, when they see you smiling despite hardship, something inside of them starts to ache. They cannot understand why you seem to have something they lack, and instead of dealing with that pain, instead of looking inward and confronting their own struggles, they lash out to bring you the level they are stuck in. Fear is perhaps the most dangerous of these roots, because fear makes people act irrationally. Fear makes them project their worries, their doubts, their anger onto others, and you become a target simply because you represent something that makes them uncomfortable. You must understand that people rarely attack you because of who you are. They attack you because of who they are. The words they speak, the attitudes they carry, the ways they try to trigger you are often a reflection of their inner war. They are not really fighting you. They are fighting themselves. They are fighting the image of what they wish they could be. And when they see you, it reminds them of their own unfulfilled potential, their own missed opportunities, their own wounds that never healed. This is why jealousy is so dangerous, because it can turn admiration into bitterness. They might once have celebrated you, but now they resent you because your life, your growth, your peace is a mirror showing them what they do not have. Think of Cain and Abel. Cain's attack on Abel was not because Abel wronged him, but because Abel's offering was accepted and Cain's was not. Instead of asking God how to make things right, instead of improving himself, Cain allowed jealousy and insecurity to fester until it turned into rage. That is what happens when people let these roots grow unchecked. Their words become sharper, their actions become bolder, and their attempts to provoke you become more frequent. They cannot rest until they pull you into their storm. And when fear mixes with jealousy and insecurity, it becomes a destructive force. Saul feared David because he knew God's favor was on him. And that fear drove Saul to try to kill the very man who was loyal to him. This is what fear does. It convinces people that your success is their downfall, that your rise is their loss, that your blessing is their curse. When you understand this, it gives you compassion, but also wisdom. You begin to see that these attacks are not always personal, even though they feel personal. You are simply the vessel they are using to pour out what is boiling inside of them. Their gossip is not really about you. It is about their need to feel significant. Their criticism is not really about your work. It is about their fear of being overlooked. Their hostility is not really about your choices. It is about their discomfort with their own. And if you take it personally, you will carry a burden that was never meant for you to carry. This is why spiritual discernment is so important. You must be able to look beyond the words and the actions and see the root. If you see insecurity, you know that arguing will not heal it. If you see jealousy, you know that trying to explain yourself will not erase it. If you see fear, you know that shouting back will not calm it. The only way to deal with these attacks is to stay grounded in truth, to refuse to take their pain into your spirit, let their words fall to the ground instead of taking root in you. When you respond to jealousy with peace, when you respond to insecurity with humility, when you respond to fear with faith, you break the cycle. The enemy wants to use these people to trigger you, to make you mirror their anger, to make you become what they accuse you of being. But when you choose to stay calm, you expose the root of their attack. You reveal their insecurity for what it is, their jealousy for what it is, their fear for what it is. You take away their power, because their power was never real. It was borrowed from your reaction. Your reaction determines whether they succeed in pulling you down, because no matter what others say or do, You hold the power over how you respond. The enemy cannot force you to lose your peace. He can only tempt you to give it away. That is why the reaction is the true battlefield. Every time someone tries to trigger you, what they are really doing is presenting you with a choice. Will you stay in control, or will you hand over control of your emotions to them? The moment you react with anger, the moment you snap, the moment you let them pull you into their drama, you have stepped onto their battlefield, and on their battlefield they have the advantage. They may not have power over your destiny, but they can steal your focus if you let them. They may not have the authority to stop what God is doing in your life, but they can distract you from walking in it if you allow them to. This is why wisdom tells you to pause before you speak, to breathe before you act, to weigh your response before you give it. Because the goal of the one who tries to provoke you is not always to win an argument, it is to win your reaction. If they can make you angry, they have shifted the atmosphere. If they can make you offended, they have gained influence over your heart. If they can make you retaliate, they have dragged you into the same pit they are standing in. Your reaction becomes the fuel that keeps their fire burning. Without your reaction, their fire dies. Look at how Jesus responded when he was mocked, when he was falsely accused, when he was spat on, when he was provoked by the Pharisees. He did not react the way they expected. He did not give them the satisfaction of anger. He did not step into their trap of arguments. He stayed focused on his mission. His silence at times spoke louder than words because it showed that their attacks could not control him. That is the kind of control you are called to walk in. Not because you are weak, not because you are afraid, but because you know that your peace is too valuable to be handed over to someone else's brokenness. Every day you have opportunities to choose your reaction. With family, with co-workers, with strangers, even online. And every time you choose peace, every time you choose to respond instead of react, you are building spiritual strength. You are refusing to be a puppet in the hands of those who want to see you dance to the strings of their provocation. You are refusing to let someone else write the script of your life. You are declaring that your emotions are not up for grabs, that your mind is not a battlefield for someone else's war, that your soul belongs to God and will not be manipulated by the chaos around you. It is not about pretending that what they do does not hurt. It is about refusing to let that hurt turn you into someone you are not. It is about refusing to let their anger make you angry, their bitterness make you bitter, their offense make you offensive. This is where the true strength is revealed, not in shouting louder, not in striking back harder, but in remaining unmoved. People may call it weakness, but in reality it is power. Anyone can explode when provoked. Anyone can curse when insulted. Anyone can throw back what was thrown at them. But it takes a strong and disciplined spirit to remain calm, to answer gently, or even to walk away in silence. Your reaction is your testimony. It is the evidence of what is ruling your heart. If chaos rules, you will react in chaos. If peace rules, you will respond in peace. If fear rules, you will react with panic. But if faith rules, you will respond with confidence. This is why the enemy does not just attack your circumstances, he attacks your emotions because he knows that if he can get you to react out of flesh, he can get you to step out of alignment with the Spirit. Your destiny is not just shaped by what happens to you, but by how you choose to handle what happens to you. Staying calm and grounded exposes their weakness and protects your peace, because calmness is not just the absence of reaction, but the presence of strength. When you remain calm, you are declaring that you are not ruled by the chaos around you, you are ruled by something higher. Calmness disarms those who seek to provoke you because their power is rooted in your reaction. The louder they get, the quieter you become, the more their insecurity is exposed. When you refuse to match their tone, you reveal that their words cannot control you, their anger cannot move you, their negativity cannot shake you. This is one of the greatest weapons you have, the ability to stay grounded no matter how much someone tries to shake you. Calmness is not passive. It is not doing nothing. It is a deliberate choice to stay rooted in truth when everything around you is trying to pull you out of alignment. It takes discipline to stay calm in the face of provocation. It takes spiritual maturity to keep your voice steady when someone is trying to raise the temperature of the conversation. It takes wisdom to keep your emotions under control when everything in you wants to lash back. But every time you choose calmness, you are protecting something far more valuable, your peace. Peace is not just a feeling, it is your foundation. It is what allows you to think clearly, to hear God clearly, to make wise decisions, and to stay on the path you were meant to walk. When you lose your peace, you lose your clarity. And when you lose your clarity, you start reacting instead of responding. When David was hunted by Saul, he could have fought back. He could have struck Saul down when he had the chance. But he chose to stay grounded in God's timing and God's justice. That calmness kept him from becoming like Saul. That calmness protected his destiny. Because when you react in anger, you are in danger of becoming the very thing you are fighting against. But when you stay calm, you rise above it and you let God fight the battle for you. Your calmness is a shield. It keeps the arrows of offense from piercing your heart. It keeps the poison of bitterness from entering your spirit. It keeps the fire of anger from consuming you. Groundedness means that your identity is not up for debate. People may question you, insult you, try to shame you, but if you are grounded in who you are in Christ, their words do not define you. You know where your worth comes from, and because of that, you do not need to defend it every time someone attacks it. This kind of confidence cannot be faked. It comes from spending time in the presence of God, from knowing His Word, from believing His promises over your life. The more grounded you are, the less shaken you are by other people's storms. And something powerful happens when you stay calm and grounded. You shift the atmosphere. The person who was shouting realizes their shouting is not working. The one who tried to push your buttons realizes their buttons are broken. The enemy who thought he could distract you realizes he has no entry point. Your calmness is a mirror that forces them to face their own turmoil. It shows them that their power was never real. It was borrowed power, power that only existed as long as you reacted. When you refuse to give it, they are left holding nothing. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. Your peace is what keeps you healthy, focused, and spiritually strong. Without peace, you cannot lead, you cannot hear what God is saying. That is why the enemy wants to take it. But every time you choose to stay calm, you build a wall around your heart. You keep the chaos on the outside and the presence of God on the inside. You remain in control not of them, but of yourself, and that is where real power is found. Spiritual strength is built when you refuse to be provoked by negativity, because every time you choose not to react, you are exercising a muscle that grows stronger with use. Just as physical strength is developed through resistance, spiritual strength is developed when you resist the urge to lash out, resist the temptation to speak out of anger, resist the pull to fight fire with fire. Every moment of provocation is an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to train your spirit to rise above the natural reaction and choose the higher way. Spiritual strength is not built in comfort. It is built in the moments when your patience is tested, when your peace is threatened, when your flesh wants to take control. Negativity is all around us, and it comes in many forms: criticism, gossip, slander, envy, hostility, doubt. You cannot stop negativity from coming, but you can stop it from entering you. When someone speaks negativity over you and you refuse to receive it, you are building an invisible shield around your spirit. When you choose not to meditate on what was said, when you refuse to repeat it in your mind, when you reject the lie and hold on to the truth, your spiritual resilience grows. Negativity feeds on agreement. If you agree with it, if you replay it, if you let it shape how you see yourself, it gains power. But when you refuse to agree, it dies. Every time you refuse to be provoked, you are also declaring that the Spirit of God inside you is stronger than the spirit of the world outside you. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Each of these fruits is tested in moments of provocation. You do not know if you have peace until something tries to take it. You do not know if you have patience until something forces you to wait. You do not know if you have self-control until something pushes you to lose it. These moments are not just interruptions, they are opportunities for growth. Look at how Jesus handled negativity. He was constantly surrounded by critics, constantly questioned, constantly accused, yet he never allowed their words to define him or direct him. When the Pharisees tried to trap him, he answered with wisdom or he said nothing at all. When soldiers mocked him, he stayed silent. When the crowd shouted insults, he kept his focus on the cross. That is spiritual strength, the ability to stay on mission even when negativity is swirling around you. Refusing to be provoked does not mean you ignore wrongdoing or allow abuse. It means you stay in control of yourself even as you confront what is wrong. It means you speak truth from a place of calm, not from a place of rage. It means you respond with wisdom instead of impulse. And when you do that, your strength becomes a testimony. People notice when you are not easily shaken. People notice when you do not retaliate the way they expect. People notice when you do not get dragged into the drama. And sometimes your refusal to be provoked is what convicts them. It makes them look at their own actions and see the immaturity of their behavior. Spiritual strength is not loud, it is steady. It does not need to prove itself. It simply stands firm. The more you exercise this strength, the more unshakable you become. What used to trigger you no longer does. What used to offend you no longer touches you. What used to throw you off course no longer moves you. And when you reach that place, you become a carrier of peace to others. You are no longer just protecting your own heart. You are influencing the atmosphere around you. Your calmness spreads. Your strength becomes a shelter for those who are weaker. Your refusal to be provoked becomes an example for others to follow. God calls you to rise above, respond with wisdom, and walk in victory because you were not created to live at the level of those who try to provoke you. You were not created to live in constant reaction to the storms around you. You were called to rise above them. Rising above means lifting your perspective, refusing to get stuck in the mud of offense, refusing to let someone's words or actions dictate the atmosphere of your soul. When you rise above, you see from a higher place. You see that the battle is not really against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers that want to steal your peace and derail your purpose. When you understand that, you stop fighting people and start fighting the real enemy through prayer, through discernment, through choosing to stay in the spirit rather than in the flesh. Responding with wisdom is one of the greatest weapons you have because wisdom does not just react, it sees beyond the moment. Wisdom asks, if I respond this way, what will the result be? Wisdom refuses to let anger write the script. Wisdom is slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to listen. Wisdom understands timing. There are moments when silence is the wisest response because it denies the provoker the reaction they seek. There are moments when a gentle answer turns away wrath and diffuses the entire situation. There are moments when walking away is not weakness but strength because it keeps you from stepping into a battle that was never yours to fight. This is why Scripture tells us to get wisdom, to seek it more than gold, because wisdom protects your spirit, your relationships, and your destiny. Walking in victory means you do not live as a victim of other people's triggers. You live as a victor. You stop saying, they made me angry. And you start saying, I chose peace. You stop saying, they ruined my day. And you start saying, my day is in God's hands, not theirs. Victory is not just winning an argument or getting the last word. Victory is keeping your joy when they try to take it. Victory is staying focused on your mission when they try to distract you. Victory is holding on to your identity when they try to make you doubt it. And this kind of victory is not something you achieve once. It is something you walk in daily, step by step, choice by choice. When you rise above and walk in wisdom, you become untouchable in the sense that the enemy's usual tactics no longer work on you. The same people who used to provoke you will be confused when they can no longer get a reaction. The same words that used to wound you will no longer pierce your heart. The same situations that used to steal your peace will now become opportunities to display your faith. And the enemy hates this because he loses his grip on you. He cannot control a person who refuses to be controlled by offense. He cannot derail a person who refuses to leave the path of peace. He cannot stop a person who keeps their eyes fixed on God's promises. God does not just call you to survive these attacks. He calls you to overcome them. He calls you to be the light in the darkness, to be the calm in the storm, to be the one who shows others a better way. When you rise above, you are not just protecting yourself, you are setting an example. People are watching you, your family, your coworkers, your friends, and when they see you respond differently, they begin to wonder what gives you that strength. They begin to see that there is a power inside you that the world cannot shake. And sometimes your ability to stay grounded becomes the very thing that leads others to seek the God you serve. This is why you cannot afford to let triggers control you. Your life is not meant to be lived in reaction mode. You are called to live from a place of intention, from a place of strength, from a place of victory. Rising above does not mean you will never face opposition. It means opposition will not stop you. It means you keep walking, keep building, keep loving, keep forgiving, no matter what comes against you. It means you refuse to descend to the level of negativity, and instead you call others higher by the way you live and the way you respond.